Good afternoon, or yeah, afternoon. I guess it is afternoon now on Tuesday, 2 days before Christmas. I wanted to just talk to you about this thing that was taped last week where Representative Keith Self, Self, who's now a congressman, been a congressman, I think since 2023. He's from Texas. Um, I served with him in Iraq in 2003 when he was recalled back to active duty. He's a few years older than me. He went to West Point, graduated, I think, class of 75 or something like that. So 25 years in the Army, retired, and then got recalled in 2003. Anyhow, so good guy, controversial in aspects. He's a controversial man. He said some things that are pretty controversial, like he wouldn't call one of the representatives um, in Congress by so it was a female, transgender female, and he would not call her Miss, call her Mister. So that was a little interesting. So let's just listen because we're at war, and I think this is very, very fascinating. I don't hear anybody talking about it, and I want to interject some things about this hybrid warfare in Europe that could affect us. So let's listen in.
Hybrid warfare tactics in Europe and to assess policy solutions to
Oh, one thing before we begin, you can see he has his airborne wings there. He was a company commander, well, platoon leader, company commander, I think a battalion commander before he originally retired. He was also in JSOC, so he's been around and retired lieutenant colonel. So he ruffled some feathers, obviously, especially coming out of West Point. Didn't not make it a full colonel, but um, I guess a warrior, and doesn't let things go under the rug. So let's just listen in.
support U.S. interests. I now recognize myself for an opening statement. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at war. As the world enters a new age of fifth generation warfare, malign actors, including the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China, are stopping at nothing at undermining the United States and our allies. The rules of engagement are changing before our eyes. Hybrid warfare is in full effect. Across Europe, governments are facing newfound threats that were once considered unimaginable, blatant violations of airspace, weaponized migration, intricate sabotage of infrastructure, crippling cyber intrusions, and more. Taken together, these actions point to a simple reality. We are at war, even if it is not declared in the traditional sense. The MAD concept, mutual assured destruction, does not apply in this gray zone conflict. We don't know where the line of kinetic.
I like that. I like that word, gray zone conflict. That space between kinetic warfare, i.e., shooting and bombing, and non-kinetic, cyber, um, espionage, that kind of thing. Uh, so
Conflict lies between the great powers. But what is hybrid warfare? What are these new threats? According to NATO, hybrid warfare is the combination of military and non military, as well as covert and overt means, including disinformation, cyber attacks, economic pressure, deployment of irregular armed forces, and use of regular forces. I,
this is happening all over the world right now. We are in a cyber war. I mean, I happen to work within the industry still to this day, and we are at cyber war. Don't kid yourselves. We don't, no one talks about it enough, but it is the biggest threat, in my opinion, what we have at our homeland, other than maybe some Islamic terrorists that are lurking because of what Joe Biden did, letting in all these terrorists. This is we're at war.
hybrid models are used to blur the lines between war and peace and attempt to sow doubt in the minds of target populations. They aim to destabilize and undermine whole societies. While the nature of these threats remains fluid and are changing by the day, I would simply describe the strategy being employed by Russia and PRC through the DIME framework. They're using diplomatic, information, military, and economic means to intimidate, harass, and sabotage NATO member states, institutions, and societies.
Yeah, this hybrid warfare obviously is more directly impacting European nations because they're so much closer to Russia and China, but it's still affecting us here. Cyber is affecting us for sure. But over there, they got espionage, they got irregular forces that are, lurking into Estonia and different places. So it affects European nations a
Since
lot.
Russia's full scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, these newfound strategies employed by Moscow and Beijing have only increased in intricacy and persistence across Europe. It is vital that this subcommittee identifies, analyzes, and acts accordingly to address these emerging threats today to ensure a more secure tomorrow. In the air, drone incursions over major civilian travel hubs, in addition to military installations, remain a safety, security, and intelligence challenge. The results of these drone sightings have been chaos for governments and passengers with.
See drones all over Europe. I mean, Russia and China are flying in these drones and getting intelligence information. I mean, we got to stop this.
Airports having to temporarily shut down, with authorities still struggling to grapple with this emerging threat. Just this past September, Polish and other NATO aircraft shot down several Russian drones and entered Poland's airspace, and they.
Poland does not mess around. They don't. They don't pussyfoot around. Let me tell you, Poland doesn't pussyfoot around with letting illegals in their country, terrorists in their country, and you fly a drone in their airspace, they're going to shoot you down. That's just September, just a few months ago.
NATO F-35 fighter jets intercepted Russian MiG-31 fighters violating the airspace of Estonia.
So there you go. Russian MiGs were intercepted by F-35s over Estonia, a European nation, violating airspace.
Overall, this increase of malign aerial activity has heightened tensions, especially on NATO's eastern flank, that has exponentially increased the potential for future kinetic conflict. On the ground, Russia, particularly through its GRU intelligence service, is conducting a range of conventional and non-conventional sabotage schemes. These schemes include arson attacks on commercial hubs like shopping malls, the sabotage of railways to cause derailments, the severing of underwater power and communications cables, and the smuggling of illicit items and disruption of airspace using weather balloons. While the malign act.
Yeah, there are huge amounts of weather balloons. I mean, I was watching another channel, I forget what it's called, Monkey Works or something like that, and he uses that flight radar thing. I mean, there's balloons up there 80,000 feet in the air that are just gathering intelligence every day over our country and over Europe.
Range in sophistication and effect. The objective of the Federal Federation is to cause general chaos and damage, not just against strategic targets, but across all areas of society. In cyberspace, Russia and PRC are running rampant, targeting governments, businesses, and private citizens across Europe. According to a report from Microsoft, cyber attacks emanating from the Russian Federation against NATO countries has increased 25% year over year.
25% year over year cyber attacks, Microsoft says on it happened in European nations. 25% year over year. That means in 4 years, 100% increase in cyber attacks. The last 4 years. So since the pandemic, we've had 100% increase in cyber attacks.
Here, I suspect that's low. These attacks target critical infrastructure, government services, financial services, transportation systems, energy, healthcare sectors of NATO members. Similarly, the PRC is unleashing its own state-sponsored hackers, including Salt Typhoon, in addition to continued efforts to embed its own technology throughout key areas of the European economy. Last week, two technology companies based in China were sanctioned by the UK for dangerous and indiscriminate cyber attacks that carried that were carried out against 80 government and private industry IT systems. Frankly, to our witnesses, your written, your written testimonies lend absolute credibility to the fact that we are at war. I wish I could assign them as required reading for a significant segment of the American population. Every nation in Western civilization needs to understand the breadth and the depth of China burrowing into Western national defense backbone and infrastructure, just how much China controls. I believe the sovereign nations of the West are awake to the danger. We now need to accelerate our ridding of the West of Chinese influence and control. I
Yes, we need to rid the West needs to rid itself of Chinese and Russian control.
look forward to your testimony today. We hope that you can provide this committee with concrete policy recommendations on addressing these hybrid threats that threaten U.S. interests. That I recognize the ranking member, Mr. Keating.
So, so what do you all think? What do you think about the threats to America today? I can tell you, we don't talk about it enough. Mainstream media doesn't talk about these threats at all until they happen. We never talk about what could happen. We are reactive instead of proactive. We got to become proactive to protect the West. All right, well, that's all I have. Thanks for joining and watching WWP Reacts. And I'm reacting to my good friend, Representative Self, retired Lieutenant Colonel Self. Um, and he sits as the chairman of that committee. Good for him. And he's sharing the fears that a lot of us that have been around for quite a while see happening. Anyways, take care. And if you like this kind of content, please like and share. As always, put some comments in. I respond to every comment I get. Growing this channel leaps and bounds every day. And just, yeah, want to have the conversations. All right, let me know what you'd like to see as well in the comments, and I will make a video on it. All right, thank you, and have a fantastic holiday. Merry Christmas, everyone.